preface this video by saying that these are going to be my experiences. And on the JET program, every situation is different. Other people on YouTube might have one way of having experienced things, and you might very well experience things a little bit differently in the future. But I want to share what I've experienced thus far with you here on my first month with JET. So like most people will agree with the JET program, after you take your flight and you arrive in Tokyo, you'll experience jet lag. In some form or another, you'll experience jet lag, either staying up really, really late or crashing right away. And my experience with that was, on my flight, I stayed up the entire length of the flight, from Florida all the way to Tokyo. It was about a 17-hour flight, and I watched movies, and watched movies, and watched movies, and watched more movies, and I somehow made it to Tokyo without having an issue. And I would actually recommend that insofar that I fell asleep as soon as I got to my hotel, the Kyo Plaza Hotel. They put you in right in the middle of Tokyo. And while people might go out and explore, I think it's important that you get a good night's sleep the first time you're there, because the next day is going to be extremely hectic and extremely busy. So I arrived in Tokyo on August 1st. That's when my contract started. My first day of work was this, the first day of JET pre-program orientation. And they give you 3 full days of pretty much all the things that you would need to know as a beginning ALT. That's what I was. I wasn't a CIR, I was an assistant language teacher. I still am. So the first day begins with breakfast, which is pretty standard hotel breakfast. It's very nice, but very standard too. Eggs, fruit, kind of what you'd expect. And the opening ceremony begins, which is an extremely nice ceremony, one that everyone's going to be dressed up for. You're going to be wanting to wear your suits, and you get a small break after that. Your real test begins after break, when you get split up according to whether or not you're an ALT or a CIR. And so you end up traveling around with a small group of people who you may call your friends for the few days that you're in Tokyo. And you'll have lesson-specific and grade-specific courses that you'll attend and hopefully pick up some skills on the way. And the first day, there's a couple here. Japanese workplace manners for ALTs, elementary school classes, teaching demonstrations, effective lesson planning. You'll have presentations by MEX, the Foreign Language Education Department in Japan, as well as expectations of you as a JET participant. So that's the first day. The second day is all about preparing you for your job. And so you'll be doing class demonstrations, you'll be having other ALTs come and explain the job to you, their teaching methods, example workshops and games that you might want to play, and more things along that line. I should mention that there's also things like disaster preparedness, as well as meetings with your host prefecture. So for instance, I was located in Gunma Prefecture. That was my location. So I met with the other JETs, as well as the coordinators for the Gunma Prefectural organization whilst in Tokyo. And I should preface this by saying that Tokyo orientation is an extremely long and tiring ordeal. It goes from 7 in the morning if you wake up for breakfast, and goes all the way until 8 o'clock on both days. And so it's a very long, very full day of you being in a suit, wearing your fanciest shoes, and being on your best behavior, representing your country. And traveling to your host prefecture was a very simple affair. They line you up wherever you're going to go. They let you know the day before, and you hop on whatever form of transportation you're going to take, whether that be bus or a car or a train, or maybe even plane if you live very far away. So when I finally got to my home in Gunma Prefecture, I stayed with the other male ALTs, and we stayed in a shared house for just a little while, just for those 2 days. And in that time, we got to meet each other. We visited the Board of Education in Maebashi, the capital of Gunma Prefecture. And we met some of the personnel who work there and who will be helping us and assisting us in our transition moving to Japan, and also supporting us while we live there and might help us out in any problems that we might encounter in the future. And it was really, really nice actually living with the other male ALTs. We had a chance to get to know each other, we had a chance to go out together. And for the female ALTs, they stayed with Homestay. I can't really speak for their experience, but from what I heard was that the Homestay experience was very nice, and most of the female ALTs that stayed with a host family, I think, are still in touch with the families that they did stay with. So it's a good way to meet the people in your prefecture, whether they be ALTs or real Japanese people. So I think that was a real plus, that experience we got to have. And so my first weekend here, Takasaki, the city that I live in, had a festival, and it was really nice. We all got to go out to the festival together, the ALTs, and we got to walk around, try some of the street food, some sweet, succulent Japanese fried chicken, and watch fireworks. They had a huge firework display here. It was so nice. We got to spend the evening walking around and doing that sort of thing before coming back and crashing and relaxing that Sunday, the day before we meet our schools. And meeting your schools means suiting up again. You'll want to keep your suits on you from when you arrived in Tokyo, and you'll take those with you to your school. And in my instance, in my case, I had two schools, one that's a little bit further away and one that's very close. The closer one is my primary school that I teach at 4 days a week, and the other one I teach at 1 day a week. So I went to the school I teach at once a week and met the principal there. We exchanged omiyage, gifts from home. I gave him some gifts from home, and he gave me some gifts from Gunma as well. A little bit of a reciprocation of sorts there. And we just got to know each other and talk for maybe 30 minutes. I didn't spend too much time at that school. And then we drove, me and a representative from the Board of Education in Takasaki, we drove back to my primary school, which is much closer, and I met the vice principal and the principal there and did much the same thing, introduced ourselves, exchanged omiyage, talked a little bit generally about what we'd be doing there, what my expectations were, and then I was dropped off there the rest of the day, kind of a full day of work without working. And that's kind of what the crux of your first month in Japan will be like, is a lot of time killing, a lot of time killing without any real work to be done. You are plopped down in your school a month before the students arrive. The students arrive September 1st, and so until September there's no students to teach. And your experiences here might differ from mine, but in my experience I was given very little in the way of responsibility those first couple weeks. I was expected to read over my lesson materials, get to know the teachers as they arrived. Most of them were on vacation, so for a good portion of my time there, I talked to the vice principal and the tea lady. She was very nice, Yamada sensei, very nice, very chill. They asked me every once in a while to make something for a class or to organize something for a class. But for the most part, the majority of the days I spent at school before September 1st were work days without work. That was a nice introduction. It was a very easy introduction into living in Japan. Because we're so new, because you're so new when you get here, you don't know where anything is. You don't know who to ask for help. You don't know where the doctor's office is. You don't know where to turn your mail in. You don't know where to go if you need to pull out money. And so that first month is a good time to talk to your teachers and get a basic understanding of what the town's like, what the city is like, and then go explore that city. And the weekends are still your weekends too. So you have a lot of free time up until September 1st to explore and get to know where you live. But that's not to say it was all fun and games the whole time. There were some work-related commitments here to take care of other than being at school and killing time. And so what you'll first realize is that you'll have specific prefectural orientation, and there you'll have a lot of the same information that you received in Tokyo. Briefings about how to teach, lesson demonstrations, lessons in safety, lessons in what to do in case there's a natural disaster. But you get a little bit more prefectural spin on it, I guess, a little bit spin from your prefecture, and some of that information will be specific to where you live, as well as a couple of things like cultural exchanges, where you might get to dress up in yukata or kimono and do some dancing or try karate or a cooking class or something like that they set up for you, which was really nice. And while those were also long days, they reimburse you for your travel expenses. They explain to you your role as an ALT a little bit more, which then moves into your first real assignment here during the or at least my first real assignment here during that time, which was a couple classes of summer school where we interacted with kids over the summer and just did some very basic English lessons with them, going over words they should already know, junior high school students or students getting ready for junior high school. So you get all this free time. You get all this free time when you're there in August because the students aren't there. But on top of that, you also have Mountain Day, which is a national holiday that falls on the 11th of August. So pretty soon after you get to your prefecture. And then you're allowed 3 days off, 3 days guaranteed paid leave during that time to either travel if you'd like to, or buying things that you need for your home. And so take full advantage of those 3 days off as well as Mountain Day. And during those days off, I did a couple of things. I went to Mount Harna, which is one of the mountains in the area, very nice, with a very nice Shinto shrine. And I also went canyoning for the first time, which is where they strap you up in life jackets and waterproof suits. And you essentially scale waterfalls and slide down waterfalls and are freezing the whole time, but it's so much fun, and jumping off things and doing front flips off of rocks. And it's just generally like a super good time. So I would say take advantage of the time you have off at this time when you're not busy. But know that it will be different. It will be different. And you should look at it through a lens of excitement and hopefully anticipation as your time approaches for the JET program. And so I hope that was a good overview for the JET program. And I'll put some pictures up here to show you my schedule in a more organized way that you can look at and kind of analyze. And if you liked the video, guys, please subscribe, please like it down below. Leave a comment asking questions for me to do a video on the next time about the JET program. I'd love to make another video and help you guys out if you're curious. So again, hit that subscribe button for more videos. I'll be posting some about my adventures here in Japan, as well as some general conversation and speaking bits like this one here. And thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. So until next time, guys, have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video. Later.